What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and today we're going to talk through 6 players you should be looking to sell high in Dynasty before the NFL draft. Right now, the trade streets are hot. Rookie draft season is coming up here very shortly, and this is the best time to make moves in your Dynasty League. And if you find yourself with one of these players burning a hole in your roster, now is the time to move. So with all that being said, if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and let's get straight into our first sell here, which is Garrett Wilson. And it pains me to say, I'm a Jets fan, Breece Hall jersey in the background. Garrett Wilson is my Twitter banner. But it's probably time to move on from him in Dynasty. We've now had 3 straight seasons where you have to get a single top 12 finish, and he's still a third rounder in startups. I just think at this point, he's turning 25 this season. There's no signs of him turning in a wide receiver one season, making good on that startup value. Now that he's 25, I know that that's not super old, but it's now in this range of he doesn't have a top 12 finish. He's never going to be in that Jefferson, Jamar Chase first round startup value tier. So this is probably going to be the highest he's valued over the next few years. And I don't see anything turning around between now and the end of this season and him becoming 25, 26, 27. Because when we look at his Dynasty trade value, this is a great opportunity to sell because Justin Fields is his quarterback. That is the red line that says Justin Fields announced the Jets have signed Justin Fields. It was an Adam Schefter tweet, and his Dynasty value did not budge on keep trade cut. So we're looking at a guy across the bottom, valued at wide receiver 14. It hasn't budged despite Garrett Wilson. Yes, has he ever had good quarterback play? No, but at least it was a high volume environment last year with Aaron Rodgers. Last year, it was just the Browns, Bengals, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, and Chiefs to have over 600 pass attempts last season. And because of that, Garrett Wilson had 150 plus targets. He was one of 4 wide receivers to do so, yet he's the only wide receiver of the bunch, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, and Justin Jefferson, to not hit 18 plus points per game. Now, of course, Jamar Chase had Burrow. Jefferson had, a rejuvenated Sam Darnold, but Malik Neighbors had a mix of Tommy DeVito, Daniel Jones, etc. And if you are truly one of these difference makers at wide receiver, you make it work. We're now 3 years in, and Garrett Wilson has yet to give you a top 12 season. He just was the wide receiver 18 in points per game, and I don't see how we now think that that's going to change because now we have Justin Fields in the mix. And again, we look here. The Jets were 5th in pass attempts last year, and Garrett Wilson only gave you the wide receiver 18 in points per game. Now you have Justin Fields. The last time he was a full season starter in 2023, the Bears had 513 pass attempts, which would have been the 27th ranked pass attempt team last year. So now he's going to go from top 5 pass attempt offense down to bottom 5 to 10 pass attempt offense. And he's never shown the efficiency for that not to scare me. We now have 3 seasons of data for Garrett Wilson, and he's yet to have 2+ yards per out run. He creates separation. He looks good on reception perception. He looks good in open score, but it's yet to translate to production or efficiency. Now, yes, people love to point to, Justin Fields gave DJ Moore a crazy season, right? He had 96 catches, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. Here's the thing, though. DJ Moore, prior to Justin Fields coming to Carolina, him getting traded to Carolina and, meeting Justin Fields over there, DJ Moore had 2 seasons of 2+ yards per out run. Those were with quarterbacks like Kyle Allen, washed Cam Newton, and Teddy Bridgewater. So I don't really want to hear the excuses for Garrett Wilson of why he can't hit 2+ yards per out run. We see wide receivers do it all the time with bad quarterback play. We've now had this 3 straight seasons of not hitting 2+ yards per out run. DJ Moore, on top of that, he showed efficiency in the past. He then had a monster outlier efficiency season with Justin Fields, and even then, he was the wide receiver 9 in points per game. So you're telling me the Dynasty wide receiver 14, his absolute ceiling with Justin Fields is threading the needle of efficiency we've never seen with him before and hitting wide receiver 9 in points per game. That's the absolute ceiling outcome. If I'm going to take a wide receiver in the 3rd round of a startup, I want the upside, especially for a guy who's turning 25. I want the upside for a top 5 season, a 20+ point per game season, and that seems out of Garrett Wilson's reach at this point, and I would just rather sell now. I'll buy back later when he's in that DK Metcalf, Devontae Smith, back-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 conversation in Dynasty, because that's where he's heading. He's going to eventually be 25, 26, 27, and he's going to be in the wide receiver 25 conversation, and that's absolutely fine. But for right now, when we look at where he's going, shout out to Dynasty Data Lab here. This is a site that gives you Dynasty Startup ADP. I have it set for the last 2 weeks, And this is just some ideas here, right? We have Garrett Wilson at the 307 as the wide receiver 13. I would love to tier up to the 101, get Ashton Jeanty, a young asset that gives you much more wins above replacement value in this given year, because Ashton Jeanty is like a first-round pick in redraft. Garrett Wilson's more of like a third. Nico Collins, I think he's just a better, more productive receiver. And then Drake May, if you want like a young stud quarterback. If you want to go sort of laterally, give me A.J. Brown, a proven commodity, someone who averages for his entire career 2.5 plus yards per out run. And if Dallas Goedert gets dealt, I think that that's going to be a huge benefactor for A.J. Brown. Same with the 102. If you can do Garrett Wilson for the 102, I think I would pull the trigger on that. And if you want to tier down and get a little bit of a plus, I think tearing down to T. Higgins or tearing down to DJ Moore makes a lot of sense. Now, our second sell candidate here today is going to be Rome Odunze. Second-year receiver, the wide receiver 16, according to Keep Trade Cut. And the first thing you got to talk about with Rome Odunze is he just had a brutal year one. Brutal year one. And that's what makes it so tricky with Rome Odunze, where there's no discount. You are paying top dollar, right? When we look at, this is a great tweet from Paul Patterson here at Paul Patterson FF. Rome Odunze startup ADP in June 2024. The 405 is the wide receiver 15. His startup ADP in April 2025, 409, wide receiver 17. You're getting zero discount for a very disappointing rookie year, right? When we look at the rookie receiver report from this past season, he is down there at 65 PFF grade, 1.18 yards per out run. He is somewhere between Keon Coleman and Ricky Pearsall, and yet there is no discount. You can look across the board. These are first-round rookie receivers since 2010 to hit 10 or less points per game. Of course, you have DeAndre Hopkins in this mix. You have DJ Moore. You have Jerry Jeudy. You have Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas doesn't really count. He tore his ACL his rookie year and had Tim Tebow as his quarterback. But outside of that, he's in this range of Kadarius Toney, Treylon Burks, Rashad Bateman. I guess JSN's a hit as well. You have Will Fuller, Corey Coleman. It's just not a great list, and it's not a lot of production. This as well is another one where you're talking about first downs per out run, receiving yards per game, up and to the right. Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, Chris Olave, Brian Thomas Jr. Amazing, amazing guys in the top right. Rome Odunze, in terms of first downs per out run and receiving yards per game, is in this top left, where you have guys like I'll look at it here. Again, you're praying for DeAndre Hopkins, but even him, he had a better receiving yards per game. You're really in this range of Denzel Mims, Robert Woods, Allen Hurns, Corey Coleman, Robbie Chosen, Kenny Stills, Henry Ruggs, Equanimous St. Brown. I'm trying to pick out some other names in there. You guys can zoom in, but it's not pretty. Shout out to F-Ball Insights there. It's just not a great cohort to be in. Now, you have Ryan Heath showing the correlation to year 2 points per game. Fantasy points is up there, yards, catchable targets, receptions, first downs. It's mostly volume. It's mostly what you did in your first year. And if you want to look here, I actually asked him a question. What happens if we use draft value, right? The Fitz Spielberger draft value. And he looked at it, had 0.56 correlation. So that would put it way below this entire list. So below first downs, touchdowns, expected fantasy points per game, receiving yard market share. It's just another input, and it's not that strong. So when we talk about these wide receivers and what we should care about after year one, it's really their production. And Rome Odunze gave you none of that. Now, the issue is we're falling back on his prospect profile, and his prospect profile was good, right? He was a top 10 pick, but I don't think that he was this can't miss prospect. I looked back since Jamar Chase, so 2021 through 2025, I sorted it by the RS grades, my wide receiver model, and Rome Odunze here is the wide receiver 5 in 2025. I know that that's crazy to hear. He was drafted top 10. We all loved him last year, but even in a model here that doesn't ding you that bad for not being an early declare, right? You have Devontae Smith up there. You have Chris Olave up there. You have Emeka Egbuka, all elite plus, and even then, Rome Odunze's down there. Worse than Burden, worse than Tet, worse than Egbuka. So he's not this can't miss special prospect so much that you can throw away a bad year one. His year one is so bad. And on top of that, you've gotten no discount at all. There is no hey, he had a bad year, so he's going to be around cheaper. Whereas him and Xavier Worthy, very similar graded prospects for me. Very similar, not amazing year ones, but fine year ones. And Xavier Worthy is a round or two cheaper than him in startups. So with Rome Odunze, I would just be simply looking to offload him if I can. I would love to get into the early to mid first right? You can go in there, take a Travis Hunter, take a Tet McMillan, take like anybody that you have your eyes on, because I'd rather just re-roll, right? You can draft next year's Jaden Daniels, next year's Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbor, someone that's going to ascend, right? Rome Odunze, you've already like what's the poker, like you've already seen the flop. We've already seen the flop with Rome Odunze, and it's no cheaper, right? Like it's already a terrible flop, right? You get the 3 cards up. I know this is a terrible analogy, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? Like we've already gotten 1 year of data for Rome Odunze, and it wasn't good. I would rather just re-roll for the same price into a rookie pick that could just be much better, or I would even re-roll. Could I get Xavier Worthy in a piece, right? I would love to down tier from Rome Odunze as well. Now, our third sell candidate in this video is going to be running back Tyrone Tracy. He's the RB24 on Keep Trade Cut. He is 25 years old, and to me, he's one of the more underrated, fragile running backs heading into this draft. We look at the draft power rankings. The New York Giants have the 6th most draft capital. They have 4 picks inside the top 100, and they have pick 105. So plenty of draft capital, plenty of ammo. And shout out to Kent Wayrouch, I believe. I don't know. I struggle to say last names. Wayrock, something like that. You see his at in the bottom right of this chart, but he tracks every pre-draft visit for every single team. I would definitely check out his Twitter. It's really good data. Running back is their 2nd most visited with position. I think that they are very much live to take a Quinshon Judkins on day 2, to take a Trevion Henderson if he slips, and that would be pretty dang tough for Tyrone Tracy, who over the years of doing this and talking about fantasy football, I've seen these guys come and go. I've seen Phillip Lindsay. I've seen Damian Pierce. I've seen Alfred Morris, and it's just like, you look at these guys, right, day 3 picks over the last decade or so, sorted by PPR points per game, none of them are safe. After Alfred Morris's big year, he gets kicked off to the side. Jordan Howard, not very soon after, they draft David Montgomery. Elijah Mitchell kicked to the side immediately for Christian McCaffrey. Bucky Irving, you're hoping things work out there. At least he was a higher-end producer, but even still, he's a little bit shaky. Damian Pierce, casted to the side. Michael Carter, casted to the side for Breece Hall. These guys just rarely are monster talents, guys you need to have in Dynasty. And we actually have the stats from Ryan Heath here. Since 2021, Tyrone Tracy had a 57.1% snap share. These are your best snap shares by day 3 rookies over the last few years. Not a single one of them cracked 50% or better in year 2. So again, these day 3 guys, they're shaky bets. I think the Giants are very much live to take a running back. I actually want to put it here, stamp it here. You heard it here first. I really do think the Giants take Quinshon Judkins at that pick 34. We'll see how things go. And when we talk about Tyrone Tracy, where he's shaky to get unseated in the NFL draft, right? And it's not one of these teams that's like maybe going to take Ashton Genty, so I think that that's maybe not as clear to the Tyrone Tracy owner. I'd be looking to get out, or a Tyrone Tracy buyer, I'd be looking to get out now. You can sell him for Devontae Adams, right? Like, if we're going to talk about a 25-year-old running back, there is no ceiling of him as a dynasty asset at this point. He's just going to be someone that sits around in that like 6th to 10th round range of startups, is a win-now asset. And if I'm just going to hold a win-now asset, let me get out of a day 3 running back and into a guy like Devontae Adams. Or if I'm a rebuilding team and I want to sort of just get into draft capital, any mid-2025 second I would take as well. Now, our next sell candidate today, give me Dalton Kincaid. He is the tight end 8 right now. He's going on 26, 25 years old, going on 26. We're 2 seasons in now. We are yet to hit a top 12 point per game season at tight end, which are very easy to hit, right? There are random names that have hit a top 12 tight end season before, and sometimes like the tight end 11 is not even really usable. He's yet to hit top 12. He's yet to hit 10 plus points per game, both very, very low bars for the tight end position. He was an old rookie. He's now turning 26, so he's losing that young dynasty type value where like you can be sold on the future, and you need production now. And he hasn't given it to you, and I don't see things changing. Shout out to Max Toscano on Twitter. He is a tight end expert, and I think that he is one of the best at breaking down the position, and he has the Dalton Kincaid cycle of highly drafted flex-only tight ends. You overdrafted as offensive weapon, not good enough route runner to play wide receiver full-time, and can't block defensive ends. Team has no every down role for him. Team gets a real every down slot who they teach to block. Relegate player to secondary third down role. Produces as a pass catcher in college where blocking can be hidden often from true tight end spot where matchups are better. I know that that's like a weird thing to read through, but that is the circle. And it's kind of like what we're dealing with Harold Fannin and a lot of these guys coming out is that we're no longer, and that's kind of the issue with Kyle Pitts, we're no longer in a world of tight end on linebacker matchups. At this point, if you're not good enough to block in line and you're lining up in the slot like Dalton Kincaid does, you're not getting matched up versus a linebacker, you're getting matched up versus a DB. And at that point, there's not enough of an advantage of that slot tight end blocking the DB that you wouldn't just have a slot receiver in there, right? Khalil Shakir got big money this offseason, and that tells us all we really need to know about about Dalton Kincaid's usage moving forward. So I'm just not a huge fan. He's this tweener. The Bills are kind of phasing him out of the offense. And we look at just players, especially him, getting towards 26, 27, 28 years old. We need to get production in our tight end spot. When we look at underdog ADP, juxtaposed with keep trade cut value, Dalton Kincaid is up there, right? He is the tight end 6 on this list at this point. And the guys that I have in green are cheaper than him on keep trade cut, and they are getting drafted higher on underdog. So they're cheaper to acquire. They're going to score more points for your team. I love David Njoku. I love Jonnu Smith as a buy. I love Travis Kelce as a buy. Evan Ingram as a buy. If I could get into any of these guys, I would, and like pick up a second as part of, like, can you do Travis Kelce in like a 2026 second for Dalton Kincaid? I think I would be into it. I think I would be. Now, in terms of trades that I found over on Fantasy Calc's trade database, we have Dalton Kincaid for 2 future seconds. I'm fine with that. Kincaid and a future second for the 108. I absolutely love that. Dalton Kincaid for the 202. I absolutely love that. So if I can send him away for like an early to mid second, I would. If I can add to him to get into the first round, I would. If I could sell him for 2 future firsts, I probably would as well. Now, our next sell candidate is Ricky Pearsall. Now, of course, Ricky Pearsall was shot before the season. So that's a big thing, right? He had a disappointing rookie season, but you can definitely like just say, screw all that. He was shot, throw out his first season. But it's a very similar deal to Rome Odunze, where I'm just not interested in buying high on a disappointing rookie season. I want a discount. I don't care if you were drafted in the first round or if you were a great prospect. Again, we looked at that Ryan Heath data that says production and a good year one outweighs your prospect profile or draft capital by a lot, right? So Ricky Pearsall got drafted in the first round, but he did nothing as a rookie. And even it's like, okay, he got hurt. We've seen guys get hurt early on in their careers, right? Like Rashad Bateman. Jameson Williams bucked this trend, but we could talk about Rashad Bateman. You could talk about John Ross. You could talk about Kevin White. You could talk about a lot of guys who started their career sort of banged up. I guess like Mike Williams would be in that mix as well. But if you start banged up, it doesn't always mean you're going to like bounce back and be great and figure things out, right? J.K. Dobbins as well. So it's just not something you can just like bake in and be like, oh, well, just give him a mulligan. It's like, okay, you're taking him at a similar value as you were taking him in rookie drafts. Again, we've seen the flop. We've seen a bad first year. Just let me get out of it and re-roll for someone in a similar direction. Like I would take Matthew Golden over him. I would take Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden over Ricky Pearsall very, very easily. Now, again, I get that he was shot. When we talk about his year one, he is in this range of Worthy, Odunze without being as good of talents as them. And then he's in the same range as like Keon Coleman. But Keon Coleman is way cheaper. I have their keep trade cut values listed. Keon Coleman is cheaper, which I think is just straight wrong, right? They're both in good offenses. They're both attached to, like Josh Allen and Purdy aren't like on the same stratosphere, but they're still like, they're both good offenses. They're attached to good quarterbacks. And Ricky Pearsall, they were drafted within like 5 to 10 picks of each other. And Ricky Pearsall is significantly more expensive, which to me is just wrong, right? And again, across the board, like targets per out run, not good. Yards per out run, not good. First downs per out run, not good. PFF grade, not good. There's like no redeeming qualities in there. He's in that same cohort as Rome Odunze of guys to go in the first round and not put up over 10 points per game. So again, you're looking at like JSN, Hopkins, DJ Moore, and praying pretty much. And then as well, this is a foul screenshot. I'll just be honest, but he doesn't look that much different than Dante Pettis. And I don't want to hear anyone say like, oh, well, Kyle Shanahan drafted Deebo Samuel. He drafted Brandon Ayuk. He has an eye for these things. Well, he also drafted Joe Williams. He also drafted Dante Pettis. He screws up all the time. He also drafted Trey Lance. And Dante Pettis' year one stats are like very comparable to Ricky Pearsall across the board. 8.6 points per game, 8.5 points per game. He had a better yards per out run, a better first downs per out run, a better PFF grade. And even then, his best year so far as a pro, Dante Pettis, came in his rookie season. We'll see how things go for Ricky Pearsall, but when you look at where he's going in startups right now, I'm just very much fine cashing out like 111 anywhere in the late first, early second. I'm cashing out. But if you're like a winning team and you want to get a veteran, if you can just move him into Mike Evans, I'm with that all day long. So lots of lateral moves to be had here. He's a mid-8th in startups, and to me, that's just too high. Again, if I could re-roll him into Golden, and I don't even really like Matthew Golden. If I could re-roll him into Matthew Golden, if I could re-roll him into Egbuka, Luther Burden, any of those guys, I would take that all day long at that 1-2 turn. And then just to sort of talk about his near-term value, right? This is a guy who's 24 going on 25. So again, like with Tyrone Tracy, there's no world where Ricky Pearsall is a second or first round startup pick. There's no world where that happens. So you need production soon before everyone sours on him. And this is Mike Clay's projections over at ESPN. And even with Debo getting traded, even with Ayuk having a torn ACL and only playing 8 games, he still only has Ricky Pearsall as the wide receiver 44 after the targets are left over from George Kittle and Jawan Jennings. And that's not to mention that the 49ers are very much at play to take a wide receiver in this draft early. They have the 5th highest draft power rankings or draft capital ranking. They have the 11th pick, the 43rd, the 75th, and the 100th. They have 4 top 100 picks. They could easily take somebody at as high as 11. They could take somebody as high as 43, get another guy into the mix, and then all of a sudden Ricky Pearsall is on the outside looking in. And again, from Kent, we have this chart where their 4th most visits have been at wide receiver. The 49ers are very much at play to take a wide receiver on day 1 or day 2. And then our last trade candidate here is going to be Trey Benson. And I will say, like, I feel like I outlined some trade targets for Ricky Pearsall here. But with Trey Benson, he is everyone's sweetheart. He's a very popular buy right now, and to me that just means sell, especially with this rookie running back class coming in. There's so many good running backs. Arizona's not really a threat to take a running back that early, but they could. And then also, he's just super overpriced compared to what his production is. And I'm just not interested in like drafting and hoping that he's like a year 2 breakout, but he's behind James Conner and it's not super straightforward. When you look at the Keep Trade Cut running backs between 4,000 and 3,000 on Keep Trade Cut, then you take their underdog ADP, he's the only one outside of the top 110 picks. And he's not only outside the top 110 picks, he's going at pick 141.5 on underdog. He is fully a handcuff stash type of guy, just like he was last year. And then if we go 1 year in advance and he hasn't produced again, and we're staring at a guy with 2 years of no production, he was only drafted in the 3rd round, right? There's a bunch of guys. There's a who's who of guys drafted in the 3rd round, whether that's Trey Sermon, whether that's Tyrion Davis-Price. Like, he could go in that direction very, very quickly. So I would just rather get out, especially with this running back class, right? We look at these running backs. This is sorted by Lance Zierlein grades. Lance Zierlein, one of the best in the business at grading running backs. He has Genty, Henderson, Sampson, Judkins, Hampton, Tootin, and Caleb Johnson all ahead of Trey Benson. I guess he has Caleb Johnson tied with Trey Benson, but that's 6 running backs ahead. And we look at my running back rankings over on the Dynasty rankings. Of course, if you want access to the rankings, to the prospect models, all of that good stuff, you can find that on patreon.com/Ron Stewart. I'll have a link in the description and the comment section down below. Again, my Dynasty rankings, my Dynasty buy and sell recommendations, where like all of these players, you can see Trey Benson's a hard sell. All of these players are a hard sell over on the Dynasty rankings, so you can look through them, make actionable trades while you're looking at them. I have all the rookies ranked with their rookie pick next to them as well, and their prospect grade on top of that. All of that and more, the Discord, exclusive subscriber leagues, all of that is over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. But with Trey Benson, I have all the way down to the 207 as guys I'd rather have than Benson. I'd rather have Genty, Hampton, Judkins, Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo, Dylan Sampson, Tootin. And then even on top of that, I think it's very close with DJ Giddens, Damian Martinez. And if I can just wipe the record clean here, as you can see, he's going for the 209, the 206, a future 20. I wouldn't do a future 2026 second, but if I could do like somewhere from the 206 to the 209, I would just very easily trade him away and then re-roll him into a round 3 running back that can maybe produce in year 1, right? We've seen guys like Kamara produce out the gate. We've seen Kareem Hunt. Even if you don't go to that 2017 draft class, you've seen, I believe, Le'Veon Bell is a round 3 running back that produced right away. And it's just, I'd rather take a swing on somebody to do that instead of be a bench warmer in year 1. There's just higher upside if you can just sort of re-roll him into another draft pick. So that's what I'd be looking to do. See if there's someone out there that loves Trey Benson. You can get a mid to late second for him in return. But that's going to do it for us today. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a comment. I read all the comments. I don't reply to all the comments, but I read all the comments. I'm always down to hear what you guys think about these sell candidates. And I do know sell videos are tough, right? Because like buys, everyone's like, oh, I love this player. I love this player. And these guys, I'm poking holes in all of them. And there's going to be people that are mad in the comments. But we did a buy video last week. This was the sell portion of that. Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I will see y'all in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like